today. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to talk a little politics without getting myself in trouble today. Tally, how you doing? Charlie is in the house from Denmark. Everyone is coming in. Hello, Court and Dr. Jenny, DC. So, if you are joining me from YouTube or Periscope land, make sure you comment. That's the only way I can see you. As you guys know, I am running through Restream, so I don't know if you're there unless you comment. And I got some questions for you all today. Also, if you are viewing this in YouTube land or you're doing an archive of this, hit subscribe, share with your friends, get me a like, shoot me a comment, let me know you're there and you're digging the show. All right, everyone's pulling in. Let's see, Egan in Florida, how you doing? Mario, hello to you too. Charlie, I don't know what's going on with my hair. We're working on it. It's not. Listen, some days things work out just fine, and other days, well, your hair has a mind of its own. But I think we got it under control. What do you guys think? All right. So, a couple of things today. Yesterday. Oh, before we get into everything, can I just say I don't know how a lot of you new folks have found the show, but I do want to let you know that I notice you. I've seen you pop on, and I want to say thank you for all of the new folks who've been following regularly. That's over in Periscope and YouTube land. That's JM, who I've been seeing regularly, and Ninja Cat have been coming over, and there's a lot of you. So I thank you guys. Shoot me a message. Let me know you're digging the show. Estefan, how you doing, buddy? And look at that. It says that Grump is joined. Okay, Mr. Grump, you're here too. So I want to thank you for all the new folks who've been listening to the show. Thank you very much. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. And yeah, I appreciate that. That's what makes all this really fun. All right. So yesterday was the Democratic National Convention. Now, as you know, I try to avoid politics on this show, at least talking about it in a way where I'm giving credit to one and not the other. I know that there's a lot of different folks who watch this show. And besides, if you've been watching the show, you know my feelings about politics and what's involved. However, I do like to talk about the news and what's going on, and seeing how the news is full of the Democratic Convention, I would like to do an autopsy of it. So, but I want to be honest with how I'm looking at it, and I want you guys to help. So, I don't like politics in that I feel that both parties are liars and corrupted, and they're going to do what they're going to do. However, what I do like to talk about is the marketing that's involved, because there's a lot of psychology that, well, anytime that you're talking about marketing, you're talking about human behavior. You're talking about psychology. You're talking about emotions and how to manipulate them and control them to get people to do something. And we know what they want us to do. They want us to vote for them. They want our votes. So I'll do one for the RNC as well. But so I didn't watch the Democratic National Convention. I don't need to, nor would I rot my brain by watching such pandering and insanity to get and pleading and begging for people's votes. And I say that for the other parties as well. However, what I do want to talk about is the optics from the convention. And you can do that by getting the highlights. What are the highlights? I'm not going to watch my brain, rot my brain by watching this stuff. However, we could do a post-op of the optics. What do you think were the optics that were stressed yesterday that they want you to see? I don't know what you're talking about there, Charlie. Charlie says, you mean talking about porn? That is all you mentioned. I don't know. All right. So So with this, there are several optics that jumped out at me this morning, and let's go through them. I wrote them down. Yes, Tally, we'll get to that. They want us to see unity. That was the big overall message, and I want to talk about that message as well. But I picked up a few. Now, guys, if you've picked up different optics that you felt that were pronounced than I have, post them up. Let me see. Comment on what you think they were. So here's the ones that I have. Number one, Bernie. Bernie's becoming a celebratory icon over there. And he sort of has the young people's support. He certainly did in 2016. So bringing him in the fold, throwing him up there, and having him yap. That is an optic, and that shows the young people and the energy of that party that we have your man, and your man supports us. So you should support us. So that's one. The other one with George Floyd's family, and what is the optics of that? Well, of course, it's police brutality, and we want to, and we're taking the most pronounced case of that this year. So the family's up there, and we're showcasing that. And then the last one that I have is Michelle Obama. Oh, well, there's one more optic I want to get to, the good one. And then Michelle. So we have, what does that represent? It represents Obama. It represents, Michelle sort of has, for the liberal crowd, big mileism. Oh, big Michelle. Shut up, Talia. That's so nice. I'm like, you're trying to get me in trouble today. So there's a unity bit and a tie to Obama of calmer times, and this is not geared to bring in new voters. They already have their voters. This is to fire up voters. So if you're not a Democrat and you're watching this, you're watching it detached. They would like to bring in some more, but that's not what this is about. This is about stirring up the emotions for the people who were already in play. So would you agree or disagree that Bernie, Floyd, and Michelle managed to do that? So this brings us to, that's the optics. If there was other optics that was present that you had seen or you picked up, comment on them. So that's the optics. Now, what is the message behind those optics? Well, Tally, 1975, she says it was unity. I would have to agree in that message. So we have the optics of Bernie, Floyd, and Michelle. We have the message of unity. Now, for anyone who's detached from that message, who's looking into that bubble outside of it, would you agree or disagree that they nailed that message? I don't know. That's up to the independent voter. So, here's the thing about it, and I'm going to be critical of the Democratic National Convention because I'm going to be critical on all politics, right or left, as you know that I am. So don't get butthurt when the RNC convention comes up. I will do a post-op of that as well. And I remember, it's not whether or not I agree with the message. I'm talking about it from a detached perspective of marketing and psychology. So the message was unity. Tally says she disagrees that it was hidden there. I find it difficult to buy into a message of unity when politics itself is an in-group, out-group dynamic. I mean, you fire up your in-group of the people who have a temperament that is geared towards your message. Liberal folk, it's a temperament. And then you're supposed to fire them up to get the most of them out to vote. The idea being that temperamentally we're split down the middle, and then it is your job as politics to fire up your people to get them out to vote. Tally says that the DNC uses Hollywood stars to attract young voters. Well, yes, you're going to use what's at your disposal. Did they do that? How many Hollywood stars did they bring in? Now, I know it's going on, for a few days. So we're going to see some more people, but I'm referring to yesterday. I'm sure the stars will come out in full force as they always do. RNC doesn't have the bangers in Hollywood. They got Scott Baio and Ted Nugent. Anyway, let's get back to what we saw. So I don't know. I don't know if it was a good start. However, I felt it fell flat. But then again, I'm watching this from a detached perspective, and I'm looking at it through the lens of psychology and marketing. And I did a whole series on marketing a few months ago. If you look in our YouTube archives, you can find it, where I dissected marketing campaigns to show you politically how marketing campaigns work, so that you would have a better eye to view the marketing that is presented to you to manipulate you into voting, so that you could look at it through an observable lens and see it for what it is. And that's what I want to do here. There was one more bit that I want to also comment on. So we have talked about that politics in and itself is an in-group, out-group situation. You fire up your base, your in-group, and of course, you can make the other group the out-group or the enemy or the threat. They all play this. So my question is, will a message of unity be able to stir up enough emotions and good feelings to get people out there to vote? I'm sure the fear mongering and finger pointing will come later in the convention. But it's really hard to get behind a message of unity when the whole point of politics in the first place is in-group, out-group preferences. And then let's not tiptoe around that also that has come into play, and certainly as of late, more identity politics, which is more in-group, out-group preferences. So the last optic that I wanted to talk about, which I find is, I guess, the funny part, which was, did anyone see the music video with Stephen Stills, and who was the person in the cape or dress that was singing at the end? And they were doing the old 60s protest song, and forgive me, I can't even remember what it is, and I'm not going to play it for you. I'll probably get a fine or a warning or something. So we have our optics of some people to elicit the emotions. Tally says, yeah, I saw that, laughed my ass off. What was that, Tally? I'm confused about it myself. And then the message of unity. So if the message is going to be unity, what were the emotions that were stirred up there? They didn't go overboard. At least when I saw that, I literally, I didn't know that was real. I thought it was a joke. And because I thought it was a joke, it wasn't until this morning that I realized that that was actually real. And I'm still in a little bit dismay. And it's difficult. So my question to you guys is, I give you the optics. If there was any more, please let me know. We decided what that message was. The message was loud and clear, right? I think we all got it. It's unity in politics, which is a bit hypocritic as it is, because politics is in-group, out-group preferences. And then what were the emotions that are tied to that? Well, I think at least for the first night, there was the emotions that come around unity. And what are those emotions? It is moral superiority. We're doing the right thing. This is they have to provide their fight against good and evil. These are the optics and those are the emotions. I'm interested to see how the rest play out, but you don't need to watch it and rot your brain in order to find out those three things. What were the optics? What was the message? And what were the emotions they were trying to stir up in their party to get people excited? I don't know. I seem to have, I think it had fallen flat so far, but we'll see. I'm also going to do this for the RNC as well. I want to know what you guys thought. Go ahead and type in. Did I nail that, guys? Or how about over there in YouTube or Periscope land? Did I nail the optics? Did I nail the message and the emotions that were stirred up? You know, and what's interesting about this, I'm not going to subject myself to any of the speeches, and I'm not going to do it for the RNC either. As you guys know, both parties are surrounded in money and power, which just corrupts anyone who is facing those things. And now here's another one for you. Here's something to think about. And this marketing is played out for a very long time. And it even showed up in the marketing of records back in the 90s. So in the 90s, there was an explosion of independent music labels that were distributing smaller college scene bands. Sub Pop was one of those labels. Discord was another one. Amphetamine Reptile out of Detroit was another one. Touch and Go out of Chicago. All the main cities had their record label. Sub Pop was Seattle. Portland was, I can't remember it at the moment, but it'll come to me. Minneapolis was Amphetamine Reptile. Touch and Go was Chicago. Merge was where I grew up in North Carolina, Chapel Hill. But anyway, you had all these labels, and what had happened is they used the marketing that we're seeing right now in the political landscape, just like they used that same marketing back then. And when you bought a record, if you bought a record from Sub Pop or you bought a record from Touch and Go, there was a lot of information marketing-wise in the liner notes that made you feel as if you were part of a movement. That because of your purchase was a middle finger to the establishment of mainstream culture. And in the liner notes, there was usually messages that said, congratulations, you're cool, you're better than anybody else because you found this record or you found this band or you have used that you are an exception to the rule. And because of your purchase, you have directly voted for what you think is cool. And we are now against the giant mainstream. Yes, teen angst. They played into that because that was their market for records. And when you bought these records, you felt cool. You felt a part of this against the mainstream machine. And it fed into the teen angst idea of me against the world, me and my friends against the world. This is the whole reason you start a band as a teenager, to go out with your best friends, create something, and then take on the establishment. There's something appealing to that. And that those same emotions are in play in politics. It is, what is the in-group preferences and emotions that they stir up to get you fired up morally and principled to go out and vote? That your vote is a middle finger to the establishment or the mainstream or to the machine that is taking over. Who is able to play that message to the best of their abilities? Both parties could make a claim that they're the ones fighting the evil establishment, who with their marketing can do a better job of stirring up those emotions in you, like those record labels did for me as a teenager, to feel that my $10 when I bought that record was a giant F you to the machine, to the establishment, to the powers that be, whoever they might be. You know, I was young enough and old enough now to remember when MTV was the cool thing, and then MTV turned into the mainstream establishment that we fought against. When MTV first came out in my suburban, close to rural neighborhood, I believe it was 86, 87, and it was new, and everyone, the idea of making an appearance on MTV would make or break your career. And until MTV was able to be bought and sold by conglomerates that then paid to have their own records and stuff, it was payola, just like back in the 50s with the DJ Alan Freed. Do you guys know how that works? Where you recognize, Tally says, I want my MTV. Well, the record industry realized that there was a large market, and the radio stations were able to break records. They were able to break artists. So the record labels then began paying those DJs to break their artists. And it was a big scam. It was uncovered. But at any point, you have to look at it right now. What is the radio disc jockeys today? Well, you have to look at the media and new media, the internet, and you have to look at distributors of media, such as, and they might say they're not a distributor, or everyone's in the gray right now because the internet is still in its Wild West phase. It's trying to be tamed, but we're still in the middle of the fighting over it. It is the Wild Wild West, and we have distributors such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, those are distributors that have large audiences. And for artists, for the DJs of these platforms and these distributions who are able to gain an audience, whatever they put in front of their audience, they're able to gain buy-in. We're playing this now. So tying this back into the DNC is all of these people with all of these audiences and all the money that is being tied in, just like the DJs back in the 50s, all of these distributors and its DJs are in the midst of the corruption and power that is our political organizations, and it's all in cahoots. Tally says, illusion of choice. However, a few companies own everything. Well, that is very true. So, those were my thoughts on it. I just wanted to bring it up. If I didn't discuss it, I would have left some points on the field, I guess. But those are my thoughts. Those were the optics. That was the messages. That was the emotions that were coming into play. We'll see how the rest of it pans out and how that marketing tied into the trends and cultural movements of the past. And can you really have a message of unity when ultimately the playground in which you're sending that message is out-group, in-group preferences? I don't know. But that's what they're going with. We'll see how that plays out. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you watch an archive of this on YouTube, Periscope, shoot me a message, let me know, share it, hit subscribe, like it. That allows other people to find the show. And I'll go through the comments. Thank you very much, Tally. And for all the new folks who've been joining in, thank you very much. You guys have been great, and I appreciate it. It's been, the last 2 weeks has been quite odd. There has been so many. Tally says subliminal messages. Yes, the devil wants your children. It was in all the records. All right, guys, I got to head out. I got a million things to do today. Thank you for tuning in. If you catch this, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you had to say about my observations. And of course, if you get mad at me for talking smack on the DNC, no, I'm going to do it for the RNC too. Don't get so mad. Don't be butthurt. I do it to everybody. Remember, my observations are tied into the marketing and psychology of things. That's what I'm going to look at. That's what I'm going to talk about. And that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. See you guys then. Cheers.